Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Breakfast with Blaha, and today we're going to talk about speed work. All right, and I had someone ask me in the comments the other day, they're like, look, if speed work, you're saying that the hypertrophy from speed work comes from the fact that if we move the weight fast enough, we're getting effective reps because you're hitting upper threshold fibers on every rep. Why can't we just lift fast all the time? And what they meant was on their rep work and supplemental work and everything else. And well, there's some problems with that idea. I believe, and again, because I program conjugate for my clients, I use conjugate myself, I recommend conjugate. I think and I feel, based upon my observations, that we need both, and we benefit from both. Because speed work brings a unique training component. And again, people will argue, well, powerlifting is not a speed strength sport, so it doesn't matter, but that's not the point. A lot of my clients do compete in speed strength sports, so it does matter and it carries over really well for them. But let's set that aside. Let's talk about just getting strong and big. So let's set that aside. Let's talk about people who only want big lifts. They want a big squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, and they want to be jacked. So let's just look at those people. It still brings a unique training effect to the table. It brings a unique effect to the table. It teaches you to push maximally, as hard as you can. That carries over to a max. Now people say, well, couldn't we just max more? Well, no, because you can't recover from it. With speed work, let's say you're doing 8 triples on bench or 12 doubles on the box squats. We're doing 24 reps to where you are pushing as hard as you can, right? 24 reps where we are pushing with maximum effort, which you can't do more than a few reps, by the way. So it won't even work with higher reps. And that's something people forget. You will run out of steam very, very fast. So by doing it this way with very high sets and low reps, we practice pushing as hard as we can. That carries over to your max. It's not because of just the speed end. It's because you are focused on exploding tightly and as powerfully and with every ounce of effort that you have on every rep. Okay, that gives you good practice. It gives you good neuromuscular efficiency for when you max out later. And you do it over and over, 24 reps in a session. Here's the thing though, it beats you up less than doing one max does. It's easier to recover from that. That's why we do 2 max days and then 2 speed days. It lets us recover. Okay, lets us recover. And yes, we do get a hypertrophic response from it. And we could argue that that hypertrophic response would be slightly biased towards max strength. Why? Because we don't get the same metabolic fatigue through all the intermediate fibers. Okay, because we're not doing that many total reps. We are. So we are hitting the upper threshold fibers very effectively, but some of the intermediate reps aren't reaching true fatigue because they just aren't doing that many repetitions. So it's not going to give you maximum hypertrophy. Speed work will have hypertrophy, but if hypothetically, it's going to be biased towards the highest threshold muscle fibers. Now, people say, well, isn't that all we need? Well, no. The higher threshold fibers might have more force production, but all the other muscle fibers still contribute to your max. Every muscle fiber in a muscle contributes to the max. So if you can just get bigger overall, your maxes are going to go up. Right? Hypertrophy gives us strength potential. And so the speed work isn't going to maximize total hypertrophy. You can get a good hypertrophic response from it. You can get pretty big just from speed work. It's not going to maximize it though. But it also is going to give you a lot of practice setting up in first reps over and over and over and over. As you might be doing 8 triples, 9 triples, 12 doubles, 10 doubles. You might then for the speed pulls might be doing 10 singles, 6 doubles, whatever, something like that. It's a lot of first reps, a lot of practice setting up. That's going to teach you to get better at those lifts. That's where a lot of our skill work comes from. And yes, they carry over different variations of the bench, the box squats. It all carries over to your traditional ones because it's still a similar movement. We're practicing it over and over and over with no rest times. So you don't have time to think. You just have to get tight and go again and again and again. Because we're doing like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, stuff like that. Breaks between. Right? You're just having to get in and do it and learn it fast. Okay, it has a skill component. So then people say, well, why can't we do that on all the rep work? Well, we should be lifting rep work relatively quickly, right? We should have an explosive concentric. And again, let's come back over. Not all of our exercises we're going to do this because we can't. Not every exercise is built for this. Some lifts are intended to be explosive with no eccentric. A pen leg row, a push press, so on and so forth. Some movements we can't do explosively safely. A good morning, okay? But outside of these, a lot of these that don't fall in this category, we generally want a pretty fast concentric with a controlled eccentric if our goal is hypertrophy. It gives us the best overall muscle fiber recruitment on a rep for rep basis. Okay? Because again, a little bit faster concentric, we know is more effective. That's what the data shows us. A little bit of control on the eccentric. Doesn't need to be super slow. Again, if it exceeds 4 seconds, it actually causes less hypertrophy. 1 to 4 seconds is the optimal range on an eccentric. That range is your perfect range for hypertrophy. Not says me, says all the research. That's what the data shows. Faster concentrics are better. So that's what we should be doing. The problem is that you can't explode maximally. What ends up happening if you try to do all your rep work as explosive as we do on speed work, what's going to happen? You're not going to get much metabolic fatigue. You're going to burn out. You're going to hit the upper threshold fibers really fast, just like we do on really low rep work, right? And you're not going to get your target reps. In other words, you might be working with, say, 70% of your max, which you should be able to do 10 to 12 reps with if it's controlled. If you try to do them ballistically and as explosively as possible, you're going to start failing. It's going to grind to a halt on like rep 7. Okay, you might as well have just done heavy 5s. You would at least get more mechanical tension at that point. You would get more mechanical tension. And mechanical tension is one of the drivers of hypertrophy. You're losing that because you're using a lighter weight and you're exploding and you are getting those upper threshold fibers, but we're not fatiguing the intermediate fibers as much. And if we're not fatiguing them as much because we're doing less total volume, less total reps, what happens? They're not going to grow as much. You're going to get less hypertrophy out of it. Now, people will say, but we're getting those upper threshold fibers much sooner, even if it's costing us reps. It's like, yeah, but you could have done the same thing with a heavier weight. Okay. We come back over then, people say, well, what about the speed work? Exactly, that's the point. The speed work is good for hypertrophy, but it doesn't maximize hypertrophy. So now you're taking your rep work to where we really should be maximizing our muscle mass, right? You guys see me doing all those 10 rep sets, right? It's to get bigger. It's to get bigger. Size equals strength potential. You're losing some of that trying to be as explosive as if you try to do it like true speed work to where you are focused on every rep, is pushing as fast as you possibly can. It'll cause a lot of lifts. Your form will break down for one. You're going to have higher risks of injuries trying to do it on every single supplemental lift. You're going to burn out quicker. You're going to get less total hypertrophy. That's why I say that you need both. These are different tools, and we need them all, and I believe that. So what is it we normally see me program? You look at any of my clients' spreadsheets, because a couple of my clients have had vlogs and things. What are we seeing? About 5% maxes, right? About 25% roughly, because again, different people have different training volumes of speed work. And around 70% of the training is rep work and hypertrophy work, right? That's how I program for most of my clients. That's a loose ballpark figure. It can vary a lot in different people. And they get good results doing that. They get jacked, they get strong, they get fast. Right? These are different tools that we benefit. And when you try to just say, I'm just going to use one tool and try to make that tool fit all these different roles instead of just using each tool correctly, you're going to get half-assed results. It's not going to maximize what we're trying to do. Use the different tools appropriately. Use the different tools appropriately. You're going to be better off for it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.